Now, here is news that you probably won't hear from the mainstream media, and it will shock you, I gotta say, because you may think that this has something to do with the epitome of human stupidity, but in reality, no, it's progressive ideology. You see, these people are so forward-thinking that your little brain is just unable to comprehend their genius. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about a boycott in San Francisco towards red states. You probably haven't heard about it, right? Because that's how much people cared. So it started in 2016 when the Bay Area, in their infinite wisdom, decided to punish red states for passing legislation that they consider to be anti-LGBTQ+. And since that day, the ban has expanded to more states, which included abortion restrictions as well as voter integrity laws. So this ban refers to public travel sponsored by San Francisco towards these states. So in other words, no buses, no trains, very difficult to get there unless you have a private car. Do you know how many states were affected by this? 30 conservative states. 30 states were under the ire of San Francisco over morality issues. Like, how dare you be different? Like, you need to be decent human beings and pass the laws we pass because we are the beacon of morality in our society. Right? Very progressive thinking, as you can notice. Do you know what happened? Well, it turns out, according to a 16-page review that the city administrator office sent to the Board of Supervisors earlier this month, they have found that it created additional administrative burden for the city staff and unintended consequences for the people of San Francisco. This has limited enrichment. I love this word. Enrichment. It has limited enrichment and development opportunities. Meanwhile, the city was not able to find concrete evidence suggesting that the ban has influenced other states when it comes to their economy, LGBT rights, or healthcare. Apparently, the city of San Francisco is now facing a $728 million budget deficit over the next 2 years, and even the left-leaning city supervisors say they are worried that the boycott will hurt the city's already expensive and burdensome contracting process, as the review also found a quote-unquote loss in competition likely to increase in the city's contracting costs by 10 to 20% annually. In other words, they ran out of people to tax to death. Capitalism is catching on to them. Yeah, it turns out that if you're going to limit travel from your city to other places, it's difficult to find contractors from those other places. Like, if you hire, I don't know, a group of workers, they want to get home. They don't want to stay there. They want to do their job and then take a bus back home. Oh, there is no bus back home. Oh, because you banned it. Yes, that may actually prove more difficult to hire contractors. So, that's one. The other thing is the mean-spirited of the nature. Like, man, something so evil can only be cooked up by a progressive. Like, let's assume that you do want to punish the red state. You do realize that there are people in San Francisco that have family members in those red states or have jobs in those red states. You're telling them, well, figure it out. You're not going to get public transport over there. We are going to tax you, of course. We are going to take your money for public transport, but we're not going to give you a ride over there. Why? Because we are punishing the people from over there? Does it even make sense? It is what it is. Apparently, they are now going to have the Board of Supervisors to vote late February on whether to resign the measure given due to its ridiculousness. The question is, like, do people from the red states want this measure to be rescinded? I mean, does anyone want to make business with people this stupid? And mean-spirited. Because, like, stupidity is one thing. You know, you can understand stupidity. It's like, well, God made him this way. His brain got stumped in development growth. It just, you can't ask something from someone that cannot do it. Like, for example, if someone can't lift weights, you're not going to ask him to do it. Like, he's physically unable. But when you mix stupidity with evilness, you get the board of directors from San Francisco. And this is what happens. And now, because it affects their money, all of a sudden they're going to give away their morals. It's like, hold on a little bit. I thought you're a bastion of morality. Like, why would you want to do business with people that, according to you, are trampling on LGBTQ plus rights, and they're doing voting suppression, and worst of all, they are going after women's health care? I mean, why would you want to do business with them? Oh, all of a sudden it's affecting your cash supply, and all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, we need those evil people. Isn't that like the core of progressive ideology? Like, you notice it in Hollywood as well. Like, they will talk a lot about human rights and about saving the planet, and then they do business with China. They will talk a lot about environmentalism and how the planet is dying. Then they will take a private jet to COP20. Like, this is so American. It's at the core of American culture now, isn't it? Like, if you're not being hypocritical, are you really left-leaning? Are you really a progressive? So I do expect for this ban to be lifted because it's hitting them in their pocket. But most importantly, no one knows about it, so they can save face. Because what I notice when it comes to these type of ideologues, the thing that they hate the most is to admit that they are wrong. Is to admit that they made a mistake. They will try to avoid admitting that for as long as it takes. But in this situation, because no one knows that the boycott even existed, well, they're fine with probably taking it back, right? Because, like, it's not going to get any coverage. Most people were even not aware. I do think, like, the people who were aware are the people that have family members in the red states. And all of a sudden, they're like, well, why can't I get any bus going over there? Why can't I get any transport, any trains going over there? I'm really curious, like, do these things even exist the opposite way around? Like, do red states ever do this to blue states? Like, is there a red state that goes like, okay, well, we're going to ban the blue states? The only time that I even heard about something similar was when some truckers, right? So it wasn't like government thing, it was grassroots. Like, some truckers just flat out refused to do business in certain states because they felt unsafe. So it was the states that defunded the police, and they said, okay, well, if you're talking about that, if you're talking about defunding the police, then I'm not going to bring my truck into that area so that I can endanger myself. Like, that was the only thing, but, like, it actually made sense in a way. It had, like, logical sense, because, like, the person was afraid. It's like, okay, well, what if something bad happens to me? Who's going to defend my business? So I understood that. But it wasn't, like, something centralized. It wasn't, like, the board or some administration thinking, like, okay, well, we need to stop doing business with blue states. Just doesn't happen, does it? Because it's stupid and mean-spirited. Let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. And if you want more news like this, consider following me on my livestream channel. There is a pinned comment into the description.